I don't know about you, but even though I've been living in New Zealand for the past 20-ish years, it's only recently that I've actually realized how the government and political system kind of works. Maybe you're at the age where you're allowed to vote now, or maybe you're just curious. Either way, in this video, I'll be explaining just that and the three parts of the system that keeps this country from collapse. Disclaimer, I am not and have not studied political science, nor am I a politician. I'm just a curious guy that wants to share what he's learned. I think a great place to start is making it clear what kind of government New Zealand has. New Zealand has a constitutional monarchy that's done via a parliamentary democracy. It's a bit of a mouthful, so let's break that down. Let's start with that first half, constitutional monarchy. What that means is that New Zealand is represented symbolically by a monarch. In our case, that would be King Charles. I say symbolically because they do not actually have any real power to pass laws or run the government day to day. They must follow the constitution as well as any and all laws that the government makes. The second half, parliamentary democracy, basically means that citizens get to vote for representative to the parliament, one of the three pillars of government. They make and pass laws. Alright, so now we know what kind of government New Zealand has. How does voting work? How do the citizens decide who runs their country? Well, basically, on voting day, citizens have two votes. One for their local representative, doesn't have to be same as your party vote, and one for the party they'd like to vote for. The most important vote is going to be the party vote, as the party that receives the most votes will hold the most seats in parliament, giving them more lawmaking/passing power, but never all the power. For example, if one party were to receive 40% of all the citizens' votes, that would mean that they get 40% of the 120 seats available, so 48 seats. If you just wanted to know the basics of New Zealand government and politics, then there you go. You can leave now if you'd like, but if you want to know just a tad more because you're a cool person with an even cooler attention span, stick around. As the title states, the government as a whole is split into three pillars that hold the country up. The first pillar is the parliament. The parliament is the group of people and parties you voted for who is in charge of passing new laws as well as looking at how taxpayer money is spent. Inside the parliament, there are regular live stream debates where the opposition, the parties that didn't win majority votes, hold each and everything that the coalition, the parties that did win majority votes, accountable, questioning everything they say and do.
New Zealanders care about is the size of the sausage, not how it's delivered. And how we will deliver it is...
I think this is a great thing. It keeps the country from extremely swinging one way because people are there to keep the rest in check. The second pillar is the executive. This is the most elected government, the party that won the most votes, and therefore are the ones that run the country day to day. Unlike the United States, where you can run for president, in New Zealand, the prime minister is simply the person who the winning party has at the top of their ranks. The members of that party decide who they think is best fit for the role, and at any point they can vote to change who their leader is, thus changing the prime minister as a whole. This pillar can be kicked off from the executive entirely if the majority of parliament decides that they are unfit and vote them off. The last and final pillar, the judiciary, or the courts. The pillar is made up of the judges and the whole court system, from district all the way to Supreme Court. I'm sure you know how judges work, but they essentially interpret and apply the law. What's interesting is that this pillar is uniquely separate from the other two because they can review the decisions made by the executive to make sure that they align with the law. Okay, so we have the three pillars. Why did we split the government into the three musketeers? Well, it beautifully shows the concept of checks and balances. By splitting the raw power over the state, it creates a natural safety net that stops a single person or party from gaining absolute power and abusing it. Reason 1. No one is above the law. Any and all laws passed by Parliament applies to everyone, whether you are a multi-millionaire CEO, a regular citizen, or the Prime Minister themselves. The law dictates your actions equally. Like previously stated, the judiciary is an independent pillar from the rest. This means that if a judge thinks that a decision made by the government or Prime Minister is illegal, then they can strike the policy down. Reason 2. Protection against the majority. In a pure and absolute democracy, there is a little risk risk that the majority group could pass a law that unfairly treats a minority group. Having the government split into these three pillars protects us against this because it slows down the process of using power like passing a law. For example, the executive might want to rush or quickly implement something, but Parliament will critique them. And even if it passes, the judiciary will watch to make sure that the law doesn't break some fundamental human right. The last and final reason is that each pillar depends on each other and holds each other accountable. The legislative pillar keeps the executive in check, keeping them honest by holding a question time. The the judiciary pillar keeps the legislative honest by interpreting what the laws actually mean in the real world and stops politicians from twisting the words of a statute to suit a passing political agenda. Finally, the executive keeps the whole system moving by appointing judges, ensuring the courts remain staffed and functioning. Well, I think that's the broad view of the political system that New Zealand has, as well as the three pillars that make up that system. I kind of wonder if the system was created that way on purpose, and whoever proposed the idea is a very clever fella. If you enjoyed the video and you got something out of it, please let me know by subscribing and maybe liking the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye bye.